Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Emily Hiles, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Heidi Rosendahl. This evening, we're honoured to acknowledge the Right Honourable John Speller, MP, Deputy Chair of the House of Commons Defence Select Committee, United Kingdom, and the accompanying delegation. We also warmly welcome Group Captain Bruce Chandler, retired, representing the Air Force Association. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland who are watching a broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of New South Wales St Pius X Primary School and from Victoria Penola Catholic College. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest, wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Pilot Officer Douglas Hislop. Douglas Hislop was born on the 4th of March 1921 in Brisbane to Albert and Mabel Hislop. He was the family's youngest child, with a brother Ronald and a sister Jean. He was fond of sailing, and as a young man was entertaining friends aboard his father's boat when it hit a submerged beacon and sank. The ensuing rescue was reported in the local papers. Hislop's father was an undertaker in the family business, John Hislop and Sons Funeral Directors, and after leaving school, Douglas worked there as an assistant. Hislop enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force on the 9th of November 1941, aged 20. He trained as a pilot and was promoted to sergeant in November 1942. He embarked from Melbourne on the 6th of March 1943, arriving in the UK the following month. As part of the Empire Air Training Scheme, he was one of almost 27,000 RAF pilots, navigators, wireless operators, air gunners and engineers who joined Australia and British squadrons in Britain throughout the course of the war. Promoted to flight sergeant in February 1944, Hislop had experience flying various aircraft, including Ansons, Oxfords, Wellingtons and Stirlings. He was commissioned that month and in April was posted to number 467 Squadron, Royal Australian Air Force. He began training in night operations. On the night of the 10th of May, 31 Lancaster bombers from numbers 463 and 467 Squadrons, Royal Australian Air Force, departed as part of a major Royal Air Force raid from Waddington, England. Their target was the heavily defended railway yards of Lille in France. Pilot Officer Hislop was the pilot of Lancaster POJ. The raid cost the squadrons heavily. 12 Lancasters were lost and 50 airmen were recorded as casualties of the mission. Hislop's aircraft failed to return to base and was later reported to have exploded above the target, killing all on board. They included 4 Australians, Flying Officers Harry Kraut and John Tucker, and Flight Sergeants Bernard Cody and Kevin Waite, as well as British Sergeants George Bennett and Bertram Longhurst. Hislop's remains were buried at the LM Lille Communal Cemetery under the inscription, "In God's Care." He was 23 years old. His friends placed in memoriam notices in the newspapers on the anniversaries of his death. His brother served in the Royal Australian Navy during the Second World War and returned safely home. Pilot Officer Douglas Hislop's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Pilot Officer Douglas Hislop, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Lest we forget. Lest we forget.
We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozier or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director and staff, we thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.